Anyway, the issue now is that Wayne Rooney, of course, was banned for 3 games for that, some would say, Darren, a savage assault on a fellow professional. Would you have said it was a savage assault?
I would say so. I would say so. I mean, I know you're a seeker of truth and justice, so I know if you saw any other player kick a fellow professional midfielder player, you would say this fella's got to be banned for 3 matches. Okay. Why does it not apply to Wayne Rooney?
You would say that, but if I move to Luther, of course, an international footballer of great repute and a man who's seen it from being on the pitch there with him, the chap that he allegedly assaulted wrote to UEFA and said, I think you should show leniency to Wayne Rooney. Surely that had something to do with it. Surely that is comradeship amongst professionals. And surely that is what really counts, the professionals talking about the incident themselves.
Well, being that he's actually wrote and said, you know, it wasn't that bad a thing, and we all could see it really wasn't that bad at the end of the day. But at the end of, he really shouldn't have done it, and we all know he shouldn't have done it. You know, we all know he shouldn't have done it, and the punishment for it was 3 games, which we all know. But I'm a bit mixed on this one, because I think great that the FA have actually gone out there and done something about it and got a result, but also a bit disappointed that they have actually gone and done it in a way, because
sorry, done what?
Gone out there and actually gone to defend something which
was indefensible in your view.
Yeah, I mean, you've done the wrong.
Why is it indefensible?
Because you're on the pitch, you kick somebody in that way and you get sent off, you take your punishment. Yeah. That's all there is to it. You've just got to do it.
Right.
And...
Luther, I've got to say, I think there are a lot of myths around this whole thing. The first is the one that you just basically put to Luther. The chap wrote to UEFA. Yeah. What on earth does that have to do with
the offence? It's got everything to do with it. It's got everything to do with it because, listen, the gravity of the punishment, if you don't mind me saying, Darren, and you've got a bigger brain than mine, I've already told the viewers that. The gravity of the punishment is this. If you get banned for 3 games for that crime, and it is a crime in football terms, I can accept that if it's qualifying games which last over 18 months. Do you understand what I mean? The qualifying period from the day you start trying to get into the competition to the day you actually qualify. But in a concentrated form of the finals, in a 3-week period next summer, to ban a boy from half the games he could possibly play, even if you win the competition, and it's more likely in our case it's going to be less than half of the games, is a very brutal punishment.
But Mike, I think they're 2 different issues. What you're saying is that the punishment has to be proportionate. So, for example, you would have 3 matches in the Premier League, but obviously you would be banning him for half the tournament. Yeah. What I'm saying is, what on earth is this lad writing to UEFA? What is he going to say? Well, he didn't kick me that hard, or he shook my hand afterwards. It's got nothing to do with that fella. Just as many people saying, well, after he got the red card, he went straight off the pitch. He shook the fella's hand. He didn't say.
Well, what does that have to do with it? Luther.
He was committed an offence.
I hear all that. I hear all that. But if somebody says there was no malice in what he did, it was just something that he did.
A rush of blood to the head.
As we all know that it's wrong. What he did was wrong. Yeah. But for that support to come from the person it was perpetrated against, that will work in your favour.
Why would that work in your favour? That makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, you say
if you're a kid, will that stop you from actually doing that?
Luther wants to explain to the professional why
that really isn't what this is about. What it's about is the fact that you, as the one it's been done against, say, well, he did it, but it wasn't as if he came over the top to me and went, I'm going to really kind of hurt you for it. And because of that reason, you think to yourself, it was one of those silly things that we all know. Because human nature is one of the things we can all be guilty of at some stage or whatever. And that is the only reason why I think the boy's done it.
Yeah, but see, part of my issue is this. A lot of football is the emperor's new clothes. We're led to believe that because this fella has turned round and said he didn't mean to do it, then that's all right. Then if you look at the footage,
it's not all right. It's not all right.
If you look at the footage,
and I've looked at the
player Djudovic has his back to Rooney. Right. He doesn't know what Rooney's intentions are.
Darren, hang on. I'm sorry. I think you're loading this.
But I also, on top of that, I think when you get the knock and you go down, if somebody really means to kick you or not. It's just one of those silly, petulant things. And I'm not defending him, because one thing I would never do is defend somebody that's done that. And if they get sent off, I say they thoroughly deserve it for what they've done, because they know the rules of the game. Yeah. But just for the fact that this boy's written in to give his piece, it's going to help his case, because people will say...
Let me put this to you, Darren, and Luther can judge on this, right? We've all seen instances where a player's gone in and he's nobbled another player, right? And then to try and... sort of water down the intent. He's leaned over the player who's on the floor and said, get up, you sissy, get up, come on, I didn't hurt you. What Rooney did was, he realised immediately what he'd done. He reached down, he said to the lad, look, I'm really sorry. He went to shake his hand and said, I've got no defence here. The referee produced the red card, he shrugged his shoulders, he walked off. He knew immediately what he'd done.
So if you're in a pub on a Friday night and you hit someone on the nose and then you shake his hand afterwards, should the police not arrest you?
Darren, I'm trying to make the point here that Rooney was immediately contrite about what he'd done. And contrition is in our legal statute, in our courts, you're talking about courts, in this country.